Hey everyone, thanks for joining me again at Buckeye Barbecue. Today I'm going to do a short video and I'm just going to go through the features and the usage of the Hunsaker Vortex Drum Smoker. Currently it's my favorite smoker to use. It's got a lot of cool features, but it is also really simple to cook great barbecue. So thanks for being here. Okay, I've got no particular order that I'm going to use here to go through this, so I thought I'd go with some of the inside parts first, starting with the coal bucket there on the right. A good sized coal bucket holds a lot of fuel for super long cooks. I've done 16-hour briskets using the amount of charcoal that fits in that bucket. There's a fixed ash pan on the bottom of that, so it makes it easy to dump your ashes and or coals after they've cooled. Skipping over the vortex plate in the middle, which I'll talk about in a second. On the left are a couple of grates that I have, and I actually have one more grate that's not even pictured here. That is the same as the standard grate in the back. The grate on the front, or it's not even really a grate, but it's the hanging mechanism. So if you wanted to hang chickens or ribs or turkeys or anything that you could possibly want to hang, you can do that. I'll talk in a minute a little bit about how the grates and the hanging mechanism fit into the Hunsaker. But this bar comes off here, and you can then hang your food items from that. It's actually a little bit awkward sometimes to use. Need two hands, need gloves. I have accidentally dropped it down before, but after you get used to it and you pull your head out of your rear end, it's not too bad. So I don't really see that as negative at all. I want to be clear about that. So the middle piece, what we call the vortex plate, is actually kind of the namesake of the Hunsaker Vortex Drum Smoker. It's pretty cool. It convects the heat out of the charcoal bucket and radiates it up, kind of gets it swirling as it heads up towards your food to provide great airflow, great movement of the heat for even cooking, I think. And you can also get this bucket with the vortex plate to fit into other smokers, whether it's a drum smoker of some kind or the Weber Smoky Mountain's a popular one that people use this charcoal bucket and vortex plate. I obviously need to clean mine. I'll probably be searching a YouTube video for cleaning that. But just very briefly, it works quite simply. When you light your charcoal, you just drop it in. There's a rod that fits down a hollow center pipe, and it's that simple. I don't feel like reshooting this video, so hopefully me tripping over that grate in the background will add a little comic relief to this whole thing. So we will now look at different parts of the Hunsaker Vortex Smoker. Okay, a couple different things to go over in this angle of the video. First of all, notice the wheels. There is one center wheel in the front that's got a locking mechanism to it. In this video, that's on the left-hand side. And then there are larger wheels on the back. There are actually two of them. I've got one of them pictured on the upper right-hand side of this video. So it makes the Hunsaker Vortex drum really easy to wheel around. Very heavy-duty wheels. I don't have any complaints at all about the wheels on this. Works really well. If you've seen my pit barrel cooker, you have probably noticed that I have a barrel dolly under it, and that works great for the pit barrel cooker, but on this you don't need that. The other thing to point out here, and probably the most important thing, is the air intake. So you may not be able to read it on this video, but there is some positions down there that are labeled. On the left side we have start, in the middle run, and on the right side it is closed. It is stop is actually how it's labeled. You can run that with your foot, so I'll just do that quickly. It's currently on stop. I'll move the lever to run. It's very smooth. And then I'll move it to start. And so you use that just like it says. When you're starting your fire and getting the drum up to temperature, You can have it on start. It allows the maximum airflow. When you're just running your drum and trying to keep it constant temperature, you'll keep it on run. And then when you want to close your drum down, you'll move it to stop. And that in conjunction with um, the air output, the smokestack on the top will limit or essentially eliminate the airflow to your coals, and you can stop your fire pretty quickly. All right, I am hand holding the camera now, so apologies if I shake a little bit. The first thing to point out is there is a baffle plate or really a heat shield that goes in between the barrel and the firebox. And that really helps protect the outside of your barrel from getting too hot. So I have always used it in there. I've never even taken it out at all. Um, Now, if I pan down and go right to the center, you can see the opening for the air intake. It is actually on the bottom, directly in the center. Right now, it is halfway open, and or nearly halfway, and that's because it's on the run position with that foot lever I just showed you. So if I move it to start, you'll see it come wide open, and if I move it to stop, you'll see it totally close. So that's the whole trick to the air intake for the Hunsaker Vortex Smoker. That is how air is controlled. The next thing I want to show you is how the grates fit in. So there are three different rails that run down the inside of the Hunsaker Vortex Drum Smoker. And all of those notches that are cut out are the different levels that you can put grates. So I've got a couple of grates. If I wanted to put one above the fire somewhere, but not all the way at the top, I could run a water pan in here if I wanted to using that. There's one then at the very top that you would put your hanging mechanism. And by the way, the hanging mechanism is the perfect size to allow you to put it at the top notch, and then it fits right in under the lid of the smoker. So obviously mine could use a cleaning, but it's well seasoned and well used. The other grate that I use then will fit right in the top as well, or wherever you want to put it. Like I said, there's a lot of different heights to choose from. So those notches, the grates and the hanging mechanism have pegs that you just slide right into there. So you have to use that to put grates in your Hunsaker Vortex. So you really have to use the ones that come from Hunsaker, but they're nice and heavy duty, and I think will last a good long time and inexpensive to replace in the grand scheme of things. But you can't just go buy one of the standard Weber grates and put it in there because of the way it works with the pegs. Last thing I will point out, two more things really while we're inside the drum, is that peg that's coming down the smokestack there is the temperature gauge, the thermometer that is plugged into the Hunsaker. I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but that's where it gets the temperature of the smoker. And this right here is to protect you from having the lid fall on you if you're in the smoker working. So the lid is, so that's as far as it'll go, and I really could probably tighten that bolt a little bit and keep it even higher as a setting. So, but that will help you. You don't want a hot lid falling on you, wind blowing it or whatever. So I think that's a really cool feature. And the lid is attached. Definitely wanted to take a second and show the hinge mechanism here. So I think they call it like a floating hinge, but it works really well with the lid. So you can just raise it just like that. And of course you can use that peg on the inside to keep it from falling on you. But it's a real nice hinge system for the drum smoker. I think it works really well. Another extra I added onto mine was the stand here for your probe thermometer. It's magnetic, so if your probe thermometer has a magnetic backing, it will stick there just fine. You could put it on either side of the handle, over here or here, or order two of them and have two of them if you would like. But it works really well for a probe thermometer. The way the drum comes, you have to run your probes through the smokestack, which works fine. It's a little inconvenient, but it can be done, and it's not that big of a deal. I did it for a long time. But the one modification, and I got to say, I was really nervous when I did this, is I added a rubber grommet here by using a step bit and drilled a hole into it. And I actually, for some reason, had a lot of trouble getting the very last step done. I think it was probably my cheap bit from Amazon, so I might pick up a nice one to finish it off. But I was still able to use the rubber grommet that I got from Amazon. Works really well. So you can put a couple of probes through there, whether it be an ambient temperature probe in order to supplement the temperature probe in the top. Also run one through for your meat so you can take your internal meat temperature and monitor it. I use a ThermoWorks. There's a couple of different brands out there. I think ThermoWorks is the best. So it will just sit right up here, and then I can run my cables through here for my probe thermometers. I also have some wireless ones from Meter. I use both. But if I'm using my wired probes, that shelf works fine, coupled with the rubber grommet that I added here. So here is the temperature probe that comes standard on the Hunsaker Vortex. I think it works really well, but you are taking the temperature of that air exiting at the smokestack, as I pointed out inside. I love the increments that the temperature's in, and when you've got this thing dialed in, it is just pegged. It doesn't move from whatever temperature you've dialed in. You can use a combination of the foot pedal, or you can just use the smokestack here by opening and closing it however much you want. Again, it's pretty simple to dial in. Just restrict the airflow or let more airflow in to go down or up, respectively. And once you find that temperature and lock it in, this thing runs like a dream. It's great. I went ahead and sprung for the logo plate. I don't do competitions or anything, at least yet, but I still thought it was cool. I wanted a place to put my magnetic Brutus the Buckeye. So if you order one of these, I think it's kind of a cool feature, but it is extra. You don't have to get it, but you can add it on along with things like extra grates, the thermometer stand or the probe thermometer stand there, like I pointed out. Also has a stay cool handle, something common on any smoker really, but it is nice and heavy duty. Works well. I don't think I'll ever have an issue with it, and it stays cool just fine. Regarding the air intake hole in the bottom that you control with that foot lever that I pointed out, I have read some people have had trouble with drippings and grease and moisture coming out of that intake. I have actually never had that trouble at all, so I'm not sure why other people have. But because I was reading some people saying that, I usually put a little drip pan under that when I'm running it, or even just a piece of cardboard. I'll sit the whole smoker on top of it just in case. But my cardboard, I've been using it since day one, and it's pretty clean. So I really haven't had that issue, but something to be aware of. So overall, if you're looking for a drum smoker and it's one of the tools you want to have in your arsenal, I certainly recommend the Hunsaker Vortex. I think the heat control is great. The just the way you can really peg that temperature exactly the way you want it. It's the perfect size. It's got the hanging mechanism, and I really love the rack mechanism where you can have your racks at several different levels. So again, if you're looking for a drum smoker, consider the Hunsaker. I don't regret it at all. It is one of my favorite cookers. So thanks again for joining Buckeye Barbecue today. Please do me a favor and like and subscribe if you're so inclined. I'd greatly appreciate it.